Carowinds is an amusement park in Charlotte, North Carolina. This park borders between North and South Carolina. So let's get right into this review. At the front of the park, we got Nighthawk, which is a Vekoma Flying Dutchman. This coaster is pretty bad. I don't really like this coaster. So I don't really think this coaster's that good. And it's getting removed. And the front gate won't look as good without this coaster, because it looked pretty good. And you also have Thunder Striker in the front of the park, which is the park's B&M Hyper. And this is an underrated coaster in the park. It does not get talked about enough. It does have trims on a lot of the big airtime hills, but they don't really hit, and you still get some pretty good quality floater airtime. You also have the park's B&M stand-up coaster, Vortex, which this B&M stand-up coaster is pretty awful. Not as bad as Nighthawk, but it's still not a good ride, and it needs to be removed like Nighthawk, but it's sticking around since it got a new paint job in 2024, so I don't see this ride going anytime soon. You also got the park's Aero Looper, Carolina Cyclone, which goes upside down 4 times. This ride is just okay. It's nothing too special, just like the ride next door, Carolina Gold Rusher. Then you got the park's Wild Mouse, named Ricochet. This ride is just your typical mock ride's Wild Mouse, so nothing too special. And you got the park's only adult wooden roller coaster in the park, which is Hurler. This ride isn't rough, it's just really boring. This ride should have been on seat a long time ago, but it's probably not happening. It is the 5th most popular roller coaster at Carowinds, which is really just dumb why people like to ride this boring roller coaster. I just don't know why. But next door to it is Fury 325, the park's B&M Giga Coaster. And this is my favorite Giga Coaster. And it is also my number 2 coaster overall in my rankings. So this ride is just epic. It's just really good. The first drop is absolutely amazing, like on all 3 B&M Giga Coasters. It's got some good low to the ground elements, some good airtime. Like, this ride is the full package Giga Coaster, unlike Orion and Leviathan. And you also have Flying Cobras, which is the park's Vekoma Boomerang. This would have been a bad ride, but it does have the vest restraints, which makes it a little less painful. That doesn't mean it's a good ride, though. I still do not like how rough this coaster is. The backwards vertical loop is just really uncomfortable, and this ride's still not that good. And then you get the park's Mock Rides multi-launch coaster, Copperhead Strike, which this ride is pretty solid. It's a pretty good layout, except I just think the launches kinda suck, and the theming is really good. This theming is pretty good for a Cedar Fair roller coaster. This ride has a nice presentation, nice mix of colors, and this ride is pretty good overall. You also got the park's B&M Invert Afterburn, which is one of my favorite B&M inverts. This ride is really intense, it's super snappy, and super smooth for its age. Most 90s B&M inverts are pretty rough, I'd have to say. This one is pretty smooth compared to the others 90s B&M inverts. And you got Kitty Hawk, the park's Vekoma Hanging Bane or Vekoma Family Suspended Coaster, but the old model with the really bad over-the-shoulder restraint. This ride is pretty rough for a kid's ride, which is horrendous that you get headbanging on a kid's coaster / family coaster. This is just a horrendous ride experience. And then you got the park's kiddie wooden roller coaster, Woodstock Express, which this coaster is a good little stepping stone coaster for the little ones to get used to the feel of wooden roller coasters, which this is a solid family coaster. Then you got the Parks E&F Miler Kiddie Coaster Wilderness Run, which I don't need to talk about this coaster because it's a kiddie coaster and I'm too tall to ride this. I also think Carowinds has a nice atmosphere. I think the park looks pretty nice. All Cedar Fair parks always just look really nice compared to Six Flags parks. But then I really like that. It is way better than a Six Flags park. It's way better than Six Flags Over Georgia, which is 3 hours away. But it is not better than Dollywood and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which is also 3 hours away. So, the atmosphere at Carowinds is pretty good. And they actually have some solid food options, like Harmony Hall and stuff. So they have some solid food options. I'd recommend it. And it's just that this is a really pleasant park to be at. I really like this park. And yeah, it's better than a lot of amusement parks in the area, except for like Dollywood or something, or some of the higher quality theme parks. But it is a pretty good place. So that will wrap it up for today's park review, and I'll see you all next time.